And we are not able to appreciate. Ek bar, Angrezi, the Western nun came to me saying, Guruji, teach me meditation. Because you also asking the same, which means the regular traditional 6-7 formula, ऐसा बैठो ऐसे करो. मैंने वो एक भी नहीं बताया. मैंने बोला you want meditation? He said yes, Guruji. And go out and act, live like this whole morning. You should live. Don't think you are a human being, but imagine you are a cow.
Yeah.
फिर काऊ की तरह जियो तुम. कहाँ खाना खाएंगे, कहाँ बैठेंगे, कहाँ सोएंगे. किसी ने आपको somebody mistreats you, उसका जवाब कैसे दूंगा. आधा दिन तो ऐसे गुजरो. या अब कुत्ता है, हाँ, अब या चिड़िया है. फिर आपके दिमाग में समझ आएगा, थोड़ा कुछ समझ आएगा कि ये आदमी क्या चीज़ है. हमारा ह्यूमन बीइंग्स हैव सो मच कैपेसिटी, सो मच फैसिलिटी, फिर भी हम लोग रो रहे हैं, मेरे पास ये भी नहीं, वो भी नहीं, मुंह लटका के बैठा हुआ. Because we don't appreciate what we have. So the first and most important thing is to appreciate what you have, to appreciate how lucky you are. Even in the worst of the situation, there are many things that you can appreciate. For example, if you are somebody who has जिसने अपना बाएं हाथ खोल लिया हो, अब इसमें जो दो तरीका है. एक तो rest of the life you should just think about this missing hand, how unfortunate I am, all these other people have two hands. What will happen? Your life will be miserable. The other thing is, see the positive side. I lost the left hand, but I have the right hand. Actually, it's the right hand which does the lifting, which does the writing. So I'm lucky. And then also there are many people who don't have both the legs and both hands. But I lost just one leg, one hand.
Thank you so much, sir, for coming here on the show. It's an honor for us, sir, honestly. And thanks so much for assenting for this podcast. It really means a lot to us. So before we begin, so would you care to introduce to the audience a little bit about yourself?
As you can see, I'm a Buddhist monk.
Yes, sir.
And when I was a little boy, I escaped from Tibet due to the Chinese invasion in Tibet. Then I went to various Tibetan schools, and I did my MPhil from Delhi University, MA from Chandigarh University. Then I joined Institute of Buddhist Dialectics, where I studied Buddhist philosophy for 13 years. And after that, I became the translator to His Holiness the Dalai Lama and served him for 16 years.
Okay.
And during that time, I accompanied him to over 30 countries in the world. And I also served in between. Before that, I served 2.5 years in Delhi, Tibet Culture Center, Tibet House. And I became the director of this institute in 2005. So this is the 18th year running as the director of this institute. Yeah.
Okay. So, as you were saying that you came into India when you were 6 years old. So, can you describe the trials and tribulations your parents had to face, like being?
No, you can easily imagine the fear.
Yeah.
And the trouble when you are chased by your enemy. I was quite small to remember much, but I remember 2-3 occasions where we were chased by the Chinese army. And I remember one occasion very clearly when we heard that all the men will be taken by the Chinese army. So the men already left the rest of the family and hid themselves in the mountain. And then those of us, women and small kids, we hid ourselves in a small kind of cave. And then 5 Chinese army riding on horses came, and told us not to sit there and come into the open area.
Okay.
And so things like that. Yeah. Then gradually when we were actually escaping and crossing the Brahmaputra river, then you can see the light of the stars, which we might sometimes think that this is the torchlight of the chasing Chinese army. Whatever, there are so many things like that. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So how did the journey of becoming a monk started?
Journey of becoming a monk is interesting in the sense because Tibet is basically a Buddhist country.
Yeah.
With I think over 90 definitely over 95% of the population are Buddhist. So there is a strong Buddhist element there. And then secondly, at that time in Tibet, there was not much material and technological or scientific development. So the thing that people aspired and encouraged most was the Buddhist practice. So every family wants at least one member as a monk or as a nun in their family.
Yeah.
So there is this atmosphere. And then I don't know what is the reason. My parents also used to call me monk when I was not a monk.
I see.
So then after escaping into India, I went to school, and while I was in the school, my parents passed away. So one thing that I remembered is that they used to call me monk, that I remembered. Then my spiritual teachers also encouraged me to become a monk. So then I became a monk, yeah.
Sir, at what age?
Age, I don't remember. Very young, actually. Okay. Very young. I don't remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sir, so like, what is a daily routine of a monk? Like, how
depends from monastery to monastery. But basically, when I studied in the Institute of Buddhist Dialectics, which is here,
yeah,
where I did most of my Buddhist philosophical studies. So there we used to get up at least at 5.
Okay.
Wash our faces quickly, and then join the congregation for prayer and prostration and meditation for an hour or so. Then we have a breakfast. Then we go back to our rooms, and the class will very soon start. If there is no class in the morning, there will be class after lunch. So in between, we have to read all the commentaries. On the same topic, you need to read 2, 3, 4, 5 different commentaries. Prepare yourself mentally which one sounds correct. And then in the midday and also in the evening, we have to attend the debating session, where whatever you have studied and whatever others have studied will be compared, and we will debate rigorously.
Yeah, I have seen that in the monastery. I think they do like something like the clap.
The purpose is to see, which of this thinking sounds to be reasonable and correct, so that we are able to get the most accurate version. Yeah.
Okay. So basically, 2 months study 2 commentaries, and then they debate on it.
We studied 5, 6, 7 different commentaries, depending upon your capacity.
Okay.
And then compare.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, sir, what is a commentary?
Commentary is like, for example, just to make you, just to simplify, if the topic is on human being,
okay,
then who is a human being? What is human being? Then several scholars will give their answer. This is the meaning of human being. This is the meaning of human being. Then you bring up all this note. There will be some disagreements, some differences. You bring all those differences and compare the notes, and then try to find out which one sounds the best, which can stand the rigorous test of reasoning.
Yeah, this is something something new I've been learning, because in the schools we have been studying.
No. Student in the classes we just mostly mug up, just follow what the teacher say. We hardly think,
Yes.
But in the monastic debating, style of study, we need to think a lot.
So when it comes to this, like in Tibetan Buddhism, is there any distinction between Buddhism and in general Tibetan Buddhism?
Basically, we call it Tibetan Buddhism because what we are practicing is the Buddhism that spread in Tibet. But it is basically, the Indian tradition of Buddhism, which is more or less lost in India, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So the great stalwarts, including Buddha, Nagarjuna, Chandrakirti, Bhavaviveka, Shantideva, whose names even you don't know. You see?
Exactly.
So these are like heavy.
I was lost after you said two.
These are like almost like heavy lift fighters.
Yeah.
Really, really great logicians. Dignag, Chandrakirti, Dharmakirti, all those just amazing minds. So we have translated all their works into Tibetan and preserved in Tibetan. It is here in the library even today.
Okay.
And in our monasteries in South India and elsewhere, we still study this.
Okay.
And so therefore we call it Tibetan Buddhist tradition, but basically it's nothing other than the Indian Nalanda tradition.
Yeah, Indian Nalanda.
No, even if you call it Tibetan tradition, it is basically the Nalanda tradition. Yeah. Okay. So that is, even if you want to call it Tibetan Buddhism, that's not a big problem. But the correct one is the pure Indian Nalanda tradition.
Okay.
And it is absolutely wrong to call the Tibetan Buddhist tradition as a Lamaism.
Okay.
which some foreigners early on wrote in their books, Lamaism,
Yeah.
which gives the idea if it is something that is invented by the Lamas. No.
Okay.
The authentic source is Indian tradition.
So basically, like the thing which nowadays is popular, known as Tibetan Buddhism,
It's like this. For
is-
example, for example, brought many scientific ideas from the West.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you're in Indian.
Hmm.
If you call it Indian science, I mean, it doesn't make much sense.
Exactly.
If what you are doing is basically what you borrow from other countries. But if it is something that you have invented in India, like the one did by Aryabhata and things like that, then you can call that Indian science.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sir, I watched a couple of videos of yours on YouTube, and
Yeah.
I was fascinated by your thing on what you have to say on, especially on meditation and mindfulness.
Yeah.
So, sir, can you please explain what is the difference between meditation and mindfulness?
Meditation is basically making your mind habituated with good things.
Okay.
Okay. Mindfulness is, in order to make your mind habituated with good things, you need to be alert, aware, jagrukta.
Yeah.
So that is mindfulness. You should be aware and cognizant and mindful of what you are eating, what you are talking, where you are sitting, what is the nature of your body, what is nature of your mind, what is nature of your feeling. So mindful, that is mindful. Meditation is a general term. Mindfulness can also be meditation, but meditation is more kind of inclusive general term which talks about making your mind either concentrate on one particular object or analyze and find the reality of each and every aspect of phenomena.
So, sir, can we call mindfulness a way of self-awareness, getting more closer to self-awareness?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Because most of us are like, unfortunately, I'm sorry to say this, most of us are like, in our daily life, we are like moving around like zombies.
Yeah.
We hardly think,
Yeah.
जहाँ सब दौड़ रहा है वहाँ दौड़ रहा है हम लोग.
Mhm.
So do you consider
क्यों दौड़ रहा है पता नहीं है.
do you consider any distinction between death and dying?
Dying is the process.
Yeah.
Yeah. Death is when that dying process is completed. When you are dead, then of course.
Like, in terms of general relativity of life, like, some people are alive, but, they are still dead from, like, from inside. This
No,
particular-
that has different meaning. Generally, when we say dead, that means when your breathing stops,
I see.
your brain stops functioning, things like that. But then when some people does the wrong thing and not alive, then we say, oh, he's like mara hua jaise hai. There's different connotation.
Yeah.
There's different connotation. But the important point here is, right from the second moment of your birth, the process of death has already started.
Yeah.
दौड़ रहा है अब. दौड़ रहा है.
We are dying.
We are dying.
Yeah, you were explaining regarding something in this video I saw on your YouTube channel. Like, you were saying that maybe we shouldn't celebrate our birthdays. I think you were saying
No,
something.
I
like-
didn't say don't celebrate. But
yeah.
what I said was,
Yes.
we are celebrating. I said that's okay. It's a conventional thing. ठीक है ना? There's nothing wrong with that.
Yes.
But in a deeper sense, there's nothing to celebrate.
Yeah.
Because as the Buddha said, birth is suffering. है ना? Aging is suffering. Illness is suffering. And death, of course, is suffering. But these three, at least we have. Aging, we don't know much. We don't think it is suffering because it comes so slowly. Illness and death, of course, we know this is suffering. Birth, we don't regard as the suffering. Janam hua, bahut acha hua, kya ladka hai, ladki hai, kya, we do these things. But the fact, that birth is suffering is actually conveyed by the child who is born. The first thing that the child does after the birth is crying.
Yeah.
Which means सब कुछ ठीक नहीं है.
Yeah.
Yeah.
हाँ.
Yeah.
So that's the thing.
And so, talking about Buddhism, there's a teaching of Buddhism which says that God does not interfere in human life. I was reading this on internet yesterday.
I don't know who wrote that, but we don't believe even in God.
I see.
God,
Yeah.
God means capital God,
Yeah.
the creator God. With due respect to the others who believe in
Right,
God,
right.
that's their thing. But the Buddhist view is Sorry.
No issue.
The Buddhist view is we are the creator. इस दुनिया को बदलना है, अब नहीं करना है, मैंने करना है.
You are the creator.
You are the creator.
Yes.
Means not everything, but
Yeah.
all of us are the creator. है ना?
Yeah.
आपका विषय आपके हाथ में है, भगवान के हाथ में नहीं है.
Wow.
If you want to change your family, you need to work. Don't just sit there and pray. Even in Buddhism, we don't say just sit there and pray to Buddha, everything will happen. No. Prayer is useful. It calms your mind, it makes you think, it encourages you to become better. That way it is useful. But unless you act, nothing will happen.
I don't think so if this pathology is stressed upon in the world, in other religions as well, because it's a beautiful, beautiful thing which you are saying right now.
This is a very beautiful thing,
Yeah.
very scientific,
Yeah.
very realistic, very practical. But unfortunately, the majority of the people are so deeply sunk into the quagmire of ignorance.
Yeah.
उनके बाद अब ये बोल ही नहीं सकता, गुस्सा हो जाएगा. हाँ भगवान नहीं है, हाँ.
Yeah.
So हम क्या कर सकते हैं उसको? उसी में बैठने दो, क्या कर सकते हैं हम? हाँ.
Sir, you just shared a topic about like birth is suffering and illness is suffering, living is suffering, and then ultimate the death is suffering. Sir, can you please elaborate a little, like what is it meaning behind all of this? Then, like if everything is suffering.
I didn't say everything is suffering.
Okay. Yeah.
Mind your word.
Yeah.
I didn't say everything. I said birth is suffering, aging is suffering, death is suffering. But I did not say there's no happiness in life.
Yeah.
Happiness bhi hai. But the point is you don't want suffering of any kind. Even the bite of mosquito. Even somebody saying bad things to you, you don't like that. You don't want suffering. So therefore it is important to talk more about suffering than on happiness. Or even if you talk about happiness, then happiness means a state where there's no suffering. So they are, in that sense, they are interlinked. So therefore, the first thing that the Buddha observed was, he was just observing, he was like scientist, he was observing, लोग इतना दौड़ रहा है, क्यों दौड़ रहा है? उसको पता चला कि सुख चाहिए इसलिए दौड़ रहा है, दुख नहीं चाहिए इसलिए दौड़ रहा है. लेकिन फिर भी सुख चाहिए, लेकिन सुख नहीं मिल रहा है, दुख नहीं चाहिए फिर भी दुख बहुत मिल रहा है. तो फिर उसने सोचा कि इन दोनों का कारण हो सकता है. अगर इनको दुख नहीं चाहिए तो ऐसे दौड़ने से, दुख नहीं चाहिए बोलने से नहीं होता है. दुख का कारण ढूंढो, उसको कम करो, then there will be at least less suffering. And सुख का कारण ढूंढो, उसको उत्पन्न करो, cultivate that cause, definitely you will have better happiness. And that's what we do. The reason we go to school is supposed to get educated, make oneself more capable so that we can reduce many causes of suffering.
Yeah.
So that's the process.
Again, the concept of self-awareness comes in.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So if you know from where the dukh is coming, and then you can solve
exactly.
it.
Now this is a good point, because normally we think बाहर की चीज़ है ये.
Yeah.
Happiness and suffering are related to outside. And now आजकल की ज़िंदगी में इतना, भागदौड़ की ज़िंदगी में इतना हम लोग दौड़ रहे हैं, सोचते हैं कि दौड़ने से सब कुछ मिलने, बाहर से मिलने वाला है, मॉल से मिलने वाला है, सुपरमार्केट से मिलने वाला है, आईफोन 14 से मिलने वाला है. मिल रहा है क्या?
नहीं.
टेक्नोलॉजी से मिल रहा है, साइंस से मिल रहा है? नहीं मिल रहा है ना. टेक्नोलॉजी और साइंस ने तो अपने न्यूक्लियर बॉम्ब बोल के बैठा है.
बिल्कुल.
नहीं मिल रहा है ना, क्योंकि जिसको बदलना था वो नहीं बदला. सब चीज़ जो बनाने वाला था वो कौन था? आदमी था. न्यूक्लियर बॉम्ब गॉड ने थोड़ी बनाया. हम लोगों ने बनाया ना. उसको दूसरों के सिर पर फेंकने वाला भी हम लोग है ना, गॉड थोड़ी फेंक रहा है. ठीक है ना. तो so that's the thing. So that's why the problem is the Dalai Lama ji, His Holiness Dalai Lama always says there are two suffering: natural suffering and man-made suffering. Now in our society, we experience more man-made suffering than natural suffering.
Yeah.
Actually, the man-made sufferings are actually unnecessary suffering.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But हम लोग कौन बार करता है, मुझे ही हो चाहिए, मुझे ही खुशी चाहिए, बाकी साला गोली मारो, वही बोलता है ना हम लोग, बाकी साले गोली मारो.
बिल्कुल.
Right, sir.
That is where we go wrong.
Sir, when it comes to suffering, how far do you think are the challenges for a monk to being a monk for the rest of his life? Like, do you experience any
in this modern
daily
society?
challenges in this modern society?
Challenge सबको होता है. Challenge is not necessarily bad. there are ways of transmuting challenge into opportunities. There's also there. And then also like the monks, whoever, they're also ordinary human beings. वेश हमारा थोड़ा बदल रहा है, एक लाल पहना है, ये तो बाजार में मिलता है, खास कुछ नहीं, बाकी सोच विचार हम ज़्यादा फर्क रहता है. अब जिसने तपस्या किया है, बड़ाई किया, वो थोड़ा तो फर्क होता है, बाकी वी आर सेम. So what I'm trying to say is we are all prone to temptations. जैसे ही तू कदम रखेगा बाहर की दुनिया में और चमकते वाली दुनिया में, अब दुनिया तो साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी ने ऐसे बना के रखा है कि उसमें आपको कदम रखते ही अब उसमें फंस जाओगे. जैसे कि तितली है, बटन लैम्प देखते ही अच्छा लगता है उसको, वहाँ जाता है जल जाता है. So monks are no exception, you see.
Yeah.
All these temptations are there. So you need to be very careful. Very careful. You want that 5-minute pleasure or long-term happiness.
Yeah.
This is the thing. Because we are today, everybody says I'm busy, everybody is running primarily for that 5-minute pleasure. अभी मैं भी सोच सकता है ना कि अभी इंटरव्यू कर रहा है, पॉडकास्ट में आ जाएगा, मेरा कुछ बन जाएगा, to for that 5-minute show.
Yeah. Like in science they call it the dopamine hit.
Dopamine hit, exactly.
Yeah.
वो नहीं होना चाहिए. So therefore our purpose is to use this human mind to bring about more long-lasting happiness than just running after sensual pleasures. I'm not saying that you can't enjoy a delicious food and things like that. That is okay, but don't get stuck there. वही जिंदगी है नहीं, जिंदगी अंदर है, happiness अंदर है.
Sir, but
Therefore, the Buddha Bhagavan said, contrary to what we think, he said, I'm very happy because I have nothing. ये तो पकड़पन है ना हमारे सोच विचार के मुताबिक, है ना. हम लोग तो बोलते हैं आप सब कुछ है, बहुत हैप्पी है. वो नहीं होता है. जितना the more you have, nothing comes value free. The more you have, the more additional problems will come. This is the law of nature.
Sir, what do you think is the purpose of life?
Happiness.
How do you achieve happiness? Like, do you
Achieving happiness is very simple actually. Recognize others as yourself. They all want happiness. Not only human beings, but insects, animals, birds, everybody happiness. Everybody wants to flourish. Trees also want to flourish. Understand this law of nature and contribute towards their growth, their harmony, and if possible help. If not possible, at least don't harm. पेड़ पौधे को जरूरत न होने से भी तोड़ना, and without any reason you harming others, saying nasty words to others, वो नहीं करना. It's very happy when you've done nothing wrong, then you have nothing to hide and nothing to regret. You're happy. Instead, if you adopt a life of duplicity, बोल कुछ रहा है, कर कुछ रहा है. अब सोच रहा है किसी ने देखा तो नहीं, लेकिन आपके अंदर का जो कॉन्शियंस है वो देख रहा है, तो आपको भी शक होता है कि कोई देख रहा होगा, पकड़ लिया होगा, ये वो होगा. सेटल नहीं होता है. Until and unless you make your mind settle, you can't even get a proper sleep. That's why many people are today suffering from insomnia.
Yeah.
So, how far do you think is the impact of love, compassion, and kindness in life?
Very important. The most important, but the one that is highly missing in today's society. इस दुनिया में आजकल जो लव हम लोग चर्चा कर रहे हैं वो बिजनेस लव है. You give me love, I give you love.
It is transactional love.
Transactional love. It's not unconditional love. Now, if you compare your love with your towards your girlfriend or to your parents, then the parents' love is much more purer.
Yeah.
It's not completely pure because it says I love this person because he is my son. My son,
Yeah, my son.
मेरे से जुड़ा इसलिए.
Yeah.
So it's not pure, but still it is much purer. Now, what is being taught in Buddhism is that the love should be unconditional. For example, why you love yourself so much? मैं ऐसा नहीं बोल सकता है कि I love myself because I'm a Geshe or a monk or something special. That's not the reason. The reason is I love myself because I want happiness, do not want suffering. So similarly, others also want happiness, do not want suffering. Therefore, whether they are good to you or not is not the matter. Whether it's Tibetan, Indian or Bharat animal, doesn't matter. इनको शांति चाहिए, इनका भी आप जीवन चाहिए. So with that realization, as much as possible, help them, don't harm them.
Sir, talking about helping them and not harming or killing anyone or hurting anyone. Sir, in Buddhism, eating of non-veg is quite prohibited. But in most Buddhist countries, this is quite rampant. Very surprising and very shockingly.
No, this is not surprising. This is like the Buddha, when this question was asked to Buddha, he said, I'm neither vegetarian nor non-vegetarian. I'm bhikkhu. Bhikkhu means one who survives by begging.
Yeah.
I'm not a chooser. अपनी मीट बनाए मैं नहीं खाएगा, इसे अच्छा खाना दो, वेजिटेरियन पका दो, थोड़ी बोल सकता है. Now of course the situation has changed. Nobody is begging. So like in Tibet, because of the climate,
yeah,
and less availability of those things, people used to eat like Mongolia and some Buddhist republics in Russia. They are voracious meat eaters still, right? But now, when you are in different countries, still people eat, but it's much less because alternatives are available. So the conclusion is, if you are able to remain vegetarian, that's best, wonderful. But you don't have to, to be too concerned about that.
Why?
Because once you are born in this world, you can't live, unfortunately, without bringing some harm to others. Like if you call yourself vegetarian, आपका ये चावल कहाँ से आ रहा है? खेती से आ रहा है ना? खेती में चावल ऐसे थोड़ी आता है. You have to plow the field.
Yeah.
When you plow the field, कितना insect वगैरह मरता है आप? Or if you say you're a vegetarian, then wear leather shoes. ये leather कहाँ से आया? It's not just eating, so many things.
In every aspect.
So therefore somebody said the vegetarians do the greatest harm. That may not be true, but it's not to justify, but as I said, if you remain vegetarian, that looks very good, but otherwise, for your health, eat a little bit, but not too much.
For a spiritual consciousness, does it help being vegetarian? Do you think it helps in a person in being more spiritually conscious?
I think so. I mean, it depends, depends upon the practitioner. For some practitioners, they intentionally eat meat to remember that dead sentient being, to help, you see. इसकी वजह से मैं जी रहा है, तो इसके लिए मैं बहुत कुछ करना है. This is just one example. I have to do all this kind of sentient beings who are sacrificing their life, who are contributing to the flourishment of my life. So that way, they have the capacity to transform it. But otherwise, vegetarian is of course much better. I mean, scientifically speaking, also it is less polluting.
Yes, sir.
And during one of our science conference, we discussed this, and a point was raised where somebody mentioned that eating meat also becomes one of the greatest factor for pollution.
Right, sir. Greenhouse gases.
Greenhouse gases. We have published an article, and we translate into Tibetan and distribute in Tibetan monasteries also to create that awareness. You see, now, for example, in South India, major monasteries, they used to serve meat before. Now, during the big congregation, meat is not allowed. So changes are happening.
That's good.
Yeah.
Sir, what is the significance of meditation in Buddhism? And if someone is just starting their journey of in meditation, so what can they?
Number one, my suggestion is don't romanticize meditation.
Okay.
Meditation is a basic necessity. It is the fact that you are here. आपने जन्म लिया है, अब यहाँ है. This is not dreaming. This is true. And it's also a fact that you want happiness. अब वो happiness तो ऐसे थोड़ी आएगा. कुछ तैयारी करना पड़ता है, सोचना पड़ता है, समझना पड़ता है ना? और suffering, you don't want suffering, वो भी ऐसे थोड़ी आता है. तो इसलिए meditation means all the sufferings are coming because your mind is more habituated with negative things. झगड़ा करने में हम लोग सब माहिर हैं। चोर करना, झगड़ा करना, किसी को हानि पहुंचाना, ये सब ऑटोमेटिक आ जाते हैं। किसी को दान देना, करुणा उत्पन्न करना, ये नहीं आ रहा है। क्यों नहीं आ रहा है? सो देयरफॉर क्यों इसलिए नहीं आ रहा है? बिकॉज वी आर नॉट सो हैबिचुएटेड विद द गुड थिंग्स। And why you are not so habituated with the good things? Why you are so habituated with the bad things? Because our origin was animal.
Yeah.
Our origin, scientifically speaking, is all animal. The animals, you can't teach religion or ethics to animals. Animals, their job is to have sex, produce children. If somebody disturbs their life, they'll tiger, lion, then they pounce upon each other, kill. और लड़ना, झगड़ना, सेक्स करना, वही हम लोग खुबरी में लेके आ गए यहाँ। तो वही हम लोग, वही संस्कार हम लोग चला रहा है। But then you need to think, is this enough as a human being? No. आपने इतना बड़ा सिर लेके आया, इतना बड़ा दिमाग खुबरी लेके आया, उसको तो इस्तेमाल करो। So use your brain or intelligence to cultivate those good inner qualities like loving kindness, compassion, non-violence. India has such a great tradition of practice of non-violence. और हम लोग आजकल कोई सिखाता ही नहीं ज़्यादा, सब टेक्नोलॉजी के पीछे जा रहा है।
So do you recommend any actionable steps to actively reduce our unhealthy emotional life patterns?
Like आप देखो कि if I give you a bottle of poison, उसमें लेबल में भी लिखा है poison है, अब इसको पी लो, बोलने से आप पिएगा? नहीं पिएगा ना आप, क्योंकि because you know this is poison, if I take it, I will die. So similarly in Buddhism we say anger is poison, hatred is poison, attachment is poison, negative desire is poison, egoism is poison. उसको आपको poison, why it is poison? Like for example, when you get angry towards him, okay, you get very angry
on me.
yeah, whatever, you get very angry to him, who will suffer? He suffers or you suffer?
We both
So
suffer.
therefore somebody said, when you get angry and wants to do the damage to others, it is like yourself taking the poison and won't expect that other people die. वो थोड़ी मारेगा, गुस्सा तो अब नहीं किया, उसने थोड़ी किया. So like that, you need to just you don't say it is a religious practice or anything, but with the scientific viewpoint, with the realistic point, explain. You just calculate the data among your members of the family or society. People who had frequent anger, उसको क्या मिला, उसके परिवार में क्या हुआ, आपके अनुभव के ऊपर से, ऐसे हवा में नहीं बोलना है. Then you will see it's bad. When you get angry, smile is gone, you become mad, पागल भी हो जाता है. Anybody wants to become पागल? नहीं है ना. So like that, you scientifically, practically explain all these things.
How do you maintain mental equilibrium, sir?
Mental equilibrium means, there will be ups and downs in life, right? There will be ups and downs in life. Even the downs in life not necessarily bad if you are able to learn from it. ठीक है ना? And then also you need to see that you don't want everything that is there in the world. जो दुनिया में या सुपर मार्केट में जो चीज़ है सब आपको थोड़ी चाहिए. हम लोग ऐसे सोचते हैं ना, अगर पैसा होगा तो मैं सारा ले लूँगा. अगर किसी को प्यास है तो पानी पीना चाहिए ना, पूरा समुद्र पीने का जरूरत थोड़ी है. नहीं है ना, है ना.
I love you, sir.
ठीक है ना. सो इसी तरह हम लोग में क्या बोल रहा है कि हमारे पास कंटेनमेंट नहीं है, दौड़ते रहते, इसलिए दौड़ रहा है, और चाहिए और चाहिए और चाहिए. कब तक दौड़ोगे, है ना. अंगुली माल का कहानी है ना, पता है, लाइक दैट. उसको क्या मिलता है? तो आपको सोने के लिए एक कमरा चाहिए, वो आपके पास है. खाने के लिए 2-3 वक्त का रोटी वो भी आपके पास है. आपका आँख सही, पैर सही सलामत है. दैट इज़ द ग्रेटेस्ट थिंग यू कैन हैव. That's the most important thing you can have, and you should be happy with that to start with. Now, this is not to say that you can't get things if it is available. It's okay. But that's the most important thing. And we are not able to appreciate. एक बार एक अंग्रेजी, the Western nun came to me saying, Guruji, teach me meditation. Because you also asking the same.
Yeah.
Which means the regular traditional 6-7 formula, ऐसा बैठो ऐसे करो. मैंने वो एक भी नहीं बताया. मैंने बोला, you want meditation? He said, yes, Guruji. And go out and act, live like this whole morning. You should live. Don't think you are a human being, but imagine you are a cow.
Yeah.
फिर काऊ की तरह जियो तुम. कहाँ खाना खाएंगे, कहाँ बैठेंगे, कहाँ सोएंगे. किसी ने आपको somebody mistreats you, उसका जवाब कैसे दूंगा. आधा दिन तो ऐसे गुजरो. या अब कुत्ता है, हाँ, अब या चिड़िया है. फिर आपके दिमाग में समझ आएगा, थोड़ा कुछ समझ आएगा कि ये आदमी क्या चीज़ है. हमारा ह्यूमन बीइंग्स हैव सो मच कैपेसिटी, सो मच फैसिलिटी, फिर भी हम लोग रो रहे हैं, मेरे पास ये भी नहीं, वो भी नहीं, मुंह लटका के बैठा हुआ. Because we don't appreciate what we have. So the first and most important thing is to appreciate what you have, to appreciate how lucky you are. Even in the worst of the situation, there are many things that you can appreciate. For example, if you are somebody who has जिसने अपना बाएं हाथ खोल लिया हो, अब इसमें जो दो तरीका है. एक तो rest of the life you should just think about this missing hand, how unfortunate I am, all these other people have two hands. What will happen? Your life will be miserable. The other thing is, see the positive side. I lost the left hand, but I have the right hand. Actually, it's the right hand which does the lifting, which does the writing, so I'm lucky. And then also there are many people who don't have both the legs and both hands, but I lost just one hand, you see. अभी है ना आजकल ऐसे कई लोग जो ओलंपिक में भी कर रहा है. You see, so that means that your mind is really the maker of your destiny.
Sir, I wanted to ask you regarding this attire. Why do Tibetans, like especially Tibetan monks, wear this attire? Like, is there any significance to this clothing?
Significance है. Most important thing is the mind, but to say who you are. आप अगर आर्मी में जाएगा तो आर्मी यूनिफॉर्म पहनना पड़ता है. वेटर करना पड़ता है तो उसका वेटर का कपड़ा होता है. Just to say what you are doing. That's important. And then another reason is, in those days, at the time of the Buddha, these three colors, these, here also 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
These three colors are counted as lackluster colors, जो ज़्यादा लोग पसंद नहीं करता है, right? Yes. So these colors are chosen. Now it is appreciated by many people. So basically, it means your clothes should also not be too pompous, too attractive, things like that. So that's the reason, basically, to reduce attachment.
Yeah, it gives a signal of like
and also shaving your hair.
Life,
also shaving hair.
Yeah.
जिसने बाल रखा उसमें खर्चा भी कितना जा रहा है, कितना बार शीशे में दिखना पड़ता है ना. तो हमको कुछ भी इतना दिखना नहीं पड़ता ज़्यादा, ठीक है ना. Okay.
Sir, what is the meaning of karma and rebirth in Buddhism?
Karma means action.
Action.
जैसा करोगे वैसे बोओगे. भगवत गीता का भी है.
Yeah.
जैसे करनी वैसे भरनी बोलते हैं ना.
So
that's action. So karma, you ask this question good, because many people think, oh ये मेरा कर्म है, कुछ नहीं कर सकता. Exactly. That's absolutely wrong.
Yeah.
आपका कर्मा इसलिए आप बदल सकता है. Karma means action. Action means if there is an action, there is a reaction.
Yeah.
And who performs the action? You perform the action.
Yeah.
So you can change. You can, or at least if it is something negative karma, don't repeat. Things like that.
So in Buddhism, is there any people say कि Hinduism में काफी lives होती हैं, like 7 जन्म होते हैं या काफी जन्म होते हैं, अनगिनत जन्म होते हैं. Buddhism में सर there is only one life which
No. Countless. गिन नहीं सकता आप.
I see.
Until you reach the higher state.
हमारा कब से ये human life start, कब खत्म होगा बोल ही नहीं सकता हम लोग. अनगिनत.
You can seek redemption or you or redeem yourself from your karmas in
No,
one
no, no.
in one
Even
janam
even
only,
even
or it will
even
take
if you
multiple?
even if you attain moksha
Yeah.
and get liberated, that doesn't mean you disappear.
Okay.
Still you live more in a positive way, constructive way. But still, there's no reason why consciousness should come to an end.
Then you are in a different, I would say, एक अलग दुनिया में.
नहीं जरूरी कुछ नहीं है.
Okay.
यही शरीर, यही दिमाग,
Okay.
जो आदमी यहाँ कुर्सी पर बैठा है, यही शरीर, यही दिमाग, when you completely transmute it and change it, यहीं इसी कुर्सी पर आप मोक्ष प्राप्त हो जाओगे. And then because of your changed perspective and everything will look different.
So, sir, Lord Buddha is still alive then? If he is still taking
Yes,
birth?
his reincarnations, like his manifestations, we say.
Okay.
His manifestations will be there all the time.
All the time.
But whether you are able to see it or not is up to you.
So do we know any manifestations of Lord Buddha?
Lord Buddha, we don't like say this is the manifestation of Lord Buddha. We don't have that. But in Tibetan tradition, we have so-called reincarnations.
Yeah.
अवतार बहुत हैं. दलाई लामा जी भी हम लोग अवतार मानते हैं.
Okay.
अब इसमें गलत से चुना हुआ, जैसे पाखंडी बाबा है ना बहुत सारा, है ना, इंडिया में है ना, उसी तरह टिबेटन में भी है. ऐसे ऐसे करके कुछ फायदा के लिए सोचा कि इसको अवतार बना दिया. ऐसे समाज में, हर समाज में होता है. But if it's somebody who's really chosen properly, then they have different capacity.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah, so I have also seen that the people, some monks that take rebirths, they know where the rebirth will be happening.
Yes.
And then they tell their
Yes,
monks that whenever I'm born, bring me back to the monastery, and then I'll start my meditation.
ठीक है.
So आपकी पर्सनल लाइफ में आपको लगता है कि ऐसे कोई क्वेश्चन या फिर ऐसी कोई वर्ल्ड रियलिटीज है इन व्हिच यू हैव हैड द मोस्ट टफ टाइम swallowing it or coming to terms with it? Like, is there any harshyarity or any hard truths about this world which you found very hard to fathom, but you eventually had to make peace with it? Any question which has bothered you the most in this world?
No, in Buddhism there is a very famous teaching. If it is something you can change, don't worry, because you can change it. If it is something you can't change it, no use worrying, because by worrying you can't change it.
Yeah.
There may be things that you don't know. There may be difficult situations, but then why do you have to bother your head with everything? दुनिया में क्या हो रहा हो, जितना तुम कर सकता वो करो, है ना. एक तो like for example, if there's a very destructive conflict and war going on in some countries, which you see now on the television all the time, you may feel sorry for that. But some people are so sensitive, say, oh, अब क्या करूँ जिंदगी, ऐसा नहीं क्या. हम लोग नहीं बता सकता कि उसका रिजल्ट क्या होगा, क्या होने वाला है. So the most important thing your side is you never lose your hope. उधर तो लड़ाई हो रहा है, लेकिन यहाँ लड़ाई थोड़ी हो रहा है. इनके साथ तो जियो तुम.
The only hope is to hope when there is no hope.
Exactly. यहाँ आपके सामने कई लोग हैं जिसका तुम्हारा मदद चाहिए, उनको मदद करो, उनको इंस्पिरेशन करो, वही है ना. तो in your life, if you are able to help at least 20 people, then you made your life successful. If you have not done that, then आप करोड़पति हो, जो भी हो, कुछ मतलब नहीं है. सब कुछ लेके नहीं आया, कुछ लेके जाने वाला नहीं, सब कुछ.
Sir, how would you define Buddhism? Do you consider Buddhism as a religion?
Buddhism is a way of life.
You think it's a way of life?
It's a way of life.
That's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
Sir, मैंने एक स्टोरी सुनी थी about Lord Buddha, in which Lord Buddha is मतलब taking a journey with his disciples. तो वो like एक जगह बैठ के वो they stay there for a couple of days. और कोई आता है उनके पास और Lord Buddha के सामने ऐसे he bow down to him. और वो like I think उसको enlightenment हो जाता है या कुछ मोक्ष मिलता है या कुछ होता है मतलब. और जो साथ में जो डिसाइपल्स होते हैं उनमें से एक लॉर्ड बुद्धा से पूछता है कि मैं आपके साथ पिछले 15-20 साल से जा रहा हूँ और मेरे को अभी तक कुछ नहीं मिला, बट इसको कैसे मिल गया. तो लॉर्ड बुद्धा बोलते हैं, हाउ कैन अ स्पून टेस्ट द सूप.
Exactly.
तो सर वो कैन यू प्लीज
एक्सप्लेन. I don't know the actual story, but it's like that,
Yeah.
एक एक छोटा सा पौधा का सीड नीचे पानी के पास गिर गया तो उसमें पौधा उगेगा। पत्थर उसमें 20-30 साल से बैठा उसमें थोड़ी उगेगा, कुछ थोड़ी बदलेगा।
बिल्कुल।
ठीक है ना? So if when you have that karmic potential in the seed, then just a small thing can, change you, transform you, become enlightened. And that's one thing. Then the second thing is the importance of meeting really religious people is, at the time of the Buddha, his friend who was a king, Bimbisara, Bimbisara used to repeatedly go to sit with the Buddha and get his wisdom. And he said, my going to you and sitting near you and my going to the forest, sitting near a tree, both gives me a lot of peace. So my point is, sometimes it's also the environment of great people, of nature, which gives you encouragement.
Sir, how can, how can someone start on this journey of self? I think this is self-awareness only if someone wants to.
So don't make it complicated right in the beginning.
Yeah.
अब शुरू इसे करो कि I want happiness. And then if you're married, my wife also want happiness. My kids also want happiness. My parents also want happiness. अब कौन सा हैप्पीनेस आपको चाहिए? 4 दिन की चांदनी फिर अंधेरी रात वाला चाहिए या लॉन्ग टर्म हैप्पीनेस चाहिए? आपको थोड़ा उधर सोचना पड़ेगा। ठीक है ना? If you want a really long lasting happiness, then accordingly to you need to take steps. That's why people say, if you want what they say, 1 hour happiness, get a nap. 1 day happiness, go for a picnic. 1 year happiness or 1 month happiness, get married. Things like that,
Yeah.
Things like that. So you need to see the long term versus short term happiness. हम लोग ज़्यादा नहीं करते, हम लोग उसी इमीडिएट उसी में फंस जाते हैं। ठीक है ना?
Sir, what is the significance of guru in this journey then? Like if
Guru, this word guru means ignorance. Ru means remover. Guru is somebody who removes your ignorance. That means you are not getting what you want because of ignorance. कोई जानबूझकर अपने ऊपर सारा ये दुख दर्द थोड़ी थोपता है। Because of ignorance, you don't know. अंधकार है आपके पास, उसको प्रकाश गुरु डालता है। I don't claim myself a great guru or anything like that, but I've studied, so I give talks and teachings. People request me to give online talks, and I'm kind of in a way surprised and amazed. Now I go around mainly Tibetan society. I meet so many people who say, Guruji, some of them are even crying. क्या हो गया? हम लोग पहले बार मिल रहे हैं, बोलते गुरुजी आपका वो भाषण सुना, मेरा जिंदगी बदल गया, मैं डिप्रेशन से बाहर आ गया। So I'm happy. I'm not showing a magic or anything like that.
Yeah.
Just as I'm sharing with you, I share this, and many people get benefit. How they get benefit? Because before that they don't know how to think.
Yeah. Like Guru opens portals in their brain.
ये सब चीज है, इसका क्या बोलते हैं? Source is your mind.
Yeah.
So lastly, if you were to leave an impact on the audience, what would you say to the audience in terms of having, from here on, from this moment on, to leading a very great, blissful,
yes.
contented life?
I'll leave something which is very impactful.
Yes, sir.
अभी कितना है हमारा population? Whole population
8 billion.
8 billion है ना? ये 8 billion counting from today in 120 years. When I say 120 years, I already give some discount. Okay,
sir.
Counting from today in 120 years, all these 8 billion people are dead.
Right.
You will accept that, right?
Yeah.
फिर इसके बीच में आपको क्या करना चाहिए? आप सोच लो. Number 1. Number 2, if today is your last moment, tomorrow you are going to die, what will you do? आप खुद सोचो, जवाब मिल जाएगा आपको.
You left me speechless.
Yeah, so
What can I
like
say?
the first point that you shared, whenever I am stuck in anything, I always give this to myself. Ki, matlab, you are dead in anyways in the next 80 years. So
Yeah.
what
तो
what
अभी
what
तक
the hell are you going
अभी
to
हम
do?
लोग देखो इतना हमारा जो I mean so pathetic, we're so small-minded, egoistic, In Buddhism we say you don't have to kill people, they will die.
Yeah.
है ना? अभी हम लोग क्या कर रहा है? न्यूक्लियर बॉम्ब बना रहा है.
It's a shame.
न्यूक्लियर बॉम्ब पर वो भी एक नहीं 6,000, 5,000
That also per country, sir.
per country.
Per
That's also
country.
per country. अब जिन्होंने बनाया वो दूसरों को थ्रेट कर रहे हैं, बेकार जो नहीं बना वो भी बेचारा बनाना शुरू करना पड़ता है.
जब वो बनाते हैं तो उन पे सैंक्शंस डाल देते हैं कि तुम क्यों बना रहे हो, हमारे पास है.
देखो, that's what I'm saying.
Wow.
Should be.
सर हमारा पॉडकास्ट के एंड में एक लास्ट क्वेश्चन होता है जो पिछले गेस्ट ने दिया होता है. तो आपके लिए एक क्वेश्चन दिया है सर फ्रॉम आवर लास्ट गेस्ट इज हाउ वी मे डील विद द सिचुएशंस वेयर वी आर एक्सट्रीमली ओवरवेल्म्ड और ओवर एक्साइटेड ड्यू टू द पॉजिटिव चेंजेस इन आवर लाइफ.
Impermanence and change itself shows nothing will remain forever, whether it is your high achievement or whether it is a tragedy. प्रकृति ने दिन और रात दोनों दिया है, ठीक है ना? अब आप खुद सोच लो कि रात ही रात है, दिन नहीं है. Or if you want to get some experience, go to some of these North Pole areas where many people are suffering from depression, things like that. ठीक है ना? So the point that I'm making is, if you get good news today, you can be happy. That's okay, but don't get too excited because bad news is coming tomorrow. If you got bad news today, you have reason to feel sorry, but don't feel too dejected because good news is coming tomorrow. And then also, whether it's good news or bad news is basically how you react to it, how you see things. जिसने प्रकृति का नियम दिखा है उसको झटका देने वाला गुड न्यूज़ बैड न्यूज़ एक भी नहीं है. एट वर्ल्डली कंसर्न नाम का एक टॉपिक है, उसमें हम लोग बोलते हैं कि कहीं किसी ने आपको बहुत बड़ा प्रशंसा किया, फिर you don't get excited because there are many people who are आपको निंदा कर रहे हैं.
गीता में भी लिखा है
हाँ, वो तो है.
परिवर्तन विक्रम मस्ती.
तो then you maintain this equilibrium, you see.
Sir, we would like you to give one question for our next guest, which will ask him or her. So, if you can write one question.
What is the best way to live as a real human being?
What is the best way to live,
as a real human
being?
Okay.
Great, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for this
It
podcast.
was really
sir.
amazing.
Thank
honestly.
you. Thank you.
We have learned some new things.
So what do you do there in Pathankot?
Yeah, sir. I am a business professional in digital marketing.
Achha.
I work from home.
Achha.
Yeah.
And sir, I'm a law student. Right now in final semester.
ठीक.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
yes, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. It was an
My
honor.
pleasure.
Thank you, sir.